Hi, I'm Lindsey McEwen and I'm presenting on behalf of the team here. Verity Jones is going to contribute later on in the talk. This presentation is focused on the development of a primary school book to promote awareness of drought, water efficiency and hydrocitizenship in children's learning. It also reflects on how that resource might be used in education in formal and informal settings. The DRY project, or Drought Risk and You, was funded by the UK Research Councils over 5 years. Its focus was on past, present, future drought risk in the UK, recognising that drought is a pervasive and hidden risk, and there's a need to build awareness in the public psyche, to think about adaptive strategies, and to encourage multi-stakeholder dialogue. The project was interdisciplinary. It interwove science and stories to support better decision making within the UK. The project undertook extensive stakeholder engagements at both local and national level, working in 7 catchments across gradients within the UK. And the resources that have been identified within the project are now being built into the Dry Utility Resource Portal. The big challenge for our project was to consider ways that we might encourage different kinds of water relationships. How could we encourage different thinking when the media draws on these stereotypes of wetness and the potential joy of dry weather? This was a new team with a very strong focus on co-production. The original Dry team built out and included Sarah Williams, an environmental psychologist with expertise in young children, working with 2 primary education specialists with expertise in geography and history, science and sustainability. And a key and integral part of that team was Lucy Gorrell-Barnes, a socially engaged artist with specialism in working with young children, particularly in disadvantaged settings. Our aspiration in the book was to draw on the research from the Dry project and to integrate it within the book and the teacher's notes, and within those to explore what different types of drought the UK is subject to unpick the myths that we found that pervade the UK in terms of wetness and raininess and greenness, to promote thinking about drought and scarcity, but very importantly alongside thinking about water efficiency and adaptation, and to engage children as potential change agents, thinking about both water efficiency but also care of place, care of water and stewardship. And very importantly, what we aspired to do was to bring water as a risk and water as a resource into the same conversation as a threshold concept. The book, its concept and storyline was co-produced over around 9 months. This involved knowledge exchange of all the co-producers. We found that the illustrations is integral part of the process. If you look at the artwork, it's layered with different found objects. And as part of the process, we undertook evaluation with children and teachers. So, for example, a young person saying there, I've never really thought that UK could have drought. I learnt a lot. And a teacher saying this book has really made me think about how I use water. We captured the creative interdisciplinary process in a variety of ways. Here's an excerpt from the artist's diaries. We also recorded our discussions and reflections. The storyline of the book, written as a young girl's diary, runs monthly over the course of a year. It tells how an ordinary schoolgirl in the UK transforms into a water superhero when a dry summer and winter with little rainfall lead to drought. Seeing life through her water goggles, the girl shares her newfound understanding and respect for water with her family. On her stimulus, they start to change their lifestyle habits. She then works to share this love and understanding of water with her school and community as the drought progresses. Throughout, we tried to choose actions that young people could do themselves in order to emphasise the message of personal agency. We wanted to explore children as change agents. We wanted to challenge the view that children are simply seen as vulnerable citizens. and to reflect on how children can have agency when given half the chance. And the fact that they can actually influence their families to change behaviours in environmental fields like waste and flooding. So why not drought also? And the fact that globally and locally, children are showing concern and care about climate change and environment. And importantly, they are the future. We aspired to link knowledge to action and to be research informed in our work. So Hicks, for example, identifies 4 critical stages that educators can use to frame effective engagement for young children with global crises. And the 4 main areas that are argued for support. The first is around appropriate knowledge. The second is about affect and feeling. The third is about identifying relevant choices. And the fourth is thinking about opportunities to engage in adaptive actions for change.
Unfortunately, we haven't got time to take you through the teacher's notes in any great detail, but what we'd like to do is show you some of the ways in which we try to take learners from just having knowledge about water and water scarcity to then being able to embed that knowledge and think about shifting towards action. So to begin with, it was really important to deal with the misconceptions surrounding water scarcity and some of the myths that had come from the previous research. So here are 11 of the water myths that came from that research, and the initial activity is for children to sort the myths and think about whether they think they're true or false or they're not sure. If you'd like to have a go, please feel free to pause the presentation and see what you make of them all. Thinking about knowledge acquisition again, we realised how important it was that learners use the visual images that Lucy had created in the illustrations. We wanted teachers and learners to be able to note the hidden meanings, sometimes the symbolism that had been used. So we've highlighted these and offered supporting questions in the teacher's notes. There were a number of activities in the teacher's notes that looked at shifting knowledge into what kind of actions we could take. Activity 2 and 3 looked at the hidden water content in food, so how much water is in the amount of cornflakes we eat or a slice of bread, but also the hidden water or the embedded water in the supply chain, so the water footprint. These are new concepts to a lot of children at Key Stage 2. And at the end of those activities, learners are invited to try and think about healthy options for their meals which have a lower water footprint. So actually thinking about what actions and what choices they can make to reduce their water usage in that way. We were really careful to make sure that we didn't encourage children to drink less water or use less water to wash their hands. At Key Stage 2, many children don't recognise that the water that comes out of their taps at home is actually part of a far larger system. So it was important that the teacher's notes allow for that kind of learning, but also within that kind of learning to think about what actions children can take to reduce the water that they use within their part of the system. And that's what this activity was all about, getting children outside and thinking about how water moves around. Activity 6 was also focusing on a shift to action in thinking about action planning and what could be done, identifying good water practices in and around their community, whether that be at home or at school or the wider community, and making action plans.
It just remains to ask you to help us spread the word about the book. There's a link here to the primary book and the learning resources. We also encourage teachers and educators to help us with the evaluation of the book with the QR code there. And we just acknowledge our funders, the research councils. Thank you very much.